Welcome to chapter 8.3 part B lesson video. Today we're going to talk about the 90-degree reference angles, the ones that we have not talked about yet. Oftentimes these are referred to as the quadrantal angles because they are the ones on the quadrant. They are a little bit different because for these ones we cannot draw a triangle. So we have to rely more on knowing our x and our y values in order to do them. So let's go ahead and get started. Right, so we're continuing on. These are the same learning goals as before, being able to evaluate trig functions and find and use reference angles to evaluate trig functions. All right, so what we know from before is that given an angle on a axis, we, instead of calling this the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse side, we can also refer to it as the y value, the x value, and the r value. So given our triangle, sine is our opposite, or y over r. Cosine is our adjacent, or x over r, and tangent is our opposite, which is y over our adjacent, which is x. So when it comes to these x, y, and r values, they apply to all possible angles that we could make. The x value and y value are just determined by that point on the terminal side, and the r value is found with Pythagorean theorem. Now, for our quadrantal angles, something a little special, something a little bit different is going to happen. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So in order to come up with our x, y, and r values, we're just going to pick a point on each of the axes. Now, we're going to make this easy for ourselves, and we're going to pick probably the easiest point possible. And that's just 1 unit away in the right, up, left, and down directions. So we do know where our angles are. This is 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360. 0 and 360 are in the same spot. And so we always just use 1 unit away. And because we're using 1 unit away, it makes the values kind of easy. So at our quadrantals, for 0 and 360, we use 1, 0, which means our x value is 1, our y value is 0, and we're r 1 unit away. So the sign here is just our y over our r value, or 0 over 1. So the sine of 0 is 0. The cosine is the x over the r, which is 1 over 1. So the cosine of 0 degrees is 1. And the tangent is y over x. So that's 0 over 1, which is 0. We can do this for all of these points. Up here, now our x is 0, our y is 1, and our r is 1. To the left, our x is -1, our y is 0, and our r is 1. And then down at 270, our x is 0, our y is -1, and our r is 1. So it's always just 1 to the right, 1 up, 1 to the left, so that's why it's negative, or 1 down. For all 4 of these on the quadrantal, because we're 1 unit away, our r value is just 1 unit away. So the way you can kind of think about it is, rather than having a triangle, you have an infinitely flat triangle here. It has no y value, it has no height, but it has an x value, a horizontal value of 1, and a hypotenuse of 1. It's just the height is infinitely flat, infinitely small. All right, well, this does create a couple little issues. Some trig values are undefined. Tangent is undefined when we have a 90-degree angle or a 270-degree angle. Let's talk about y real quick. So the tangent trig function is the tangent of theta is equal to our y value over our x value. Now, one of the big no-nos in math is having a 0 in the denominator. So if our x value is ever 0, then our trig function is undefined. Well, let's look at 0. Our x value is 1. That's okay. Let's look at 180. Our x value is -1. That's okay. It's only when the x value is 0, like at 90 and 270, that we have an issue, and that's where tangent ends up being undefined. At the other 2 places, tangent is 0. 0 over 1 is 0, so like 0 on top is okay. It's just when the x value is 0, when the bottom number would become 0, that we run into an issue. All right, so I have 4 practice problems here. I'm going to show you guys how to do these relatively quickly. We'll do some more practice problems in class. But if you have those 4 quadrantals memorized and you can draw them pretty quickly, these problems go fairly easily. So let's go ahead and start with sine of 90. So the way I draw it is I draw an axis. I go ahead and I put a point up at 90 degrees, and I usually write down what that point is. I went left, right, 0, and I went up 1, and my r value is 1. It's always 1 on these quadrantals. So since my sine is my y value over my r value, so sine of 90 is y over r at this spot. My y value is 1. My r value is 1. The sine of 90 is 1. All right, let's go ahead and we'll do the same thing. We'll do cosine of 180. So we go cosine of 180. We'll put our point on there. It's over here to the left. We went left 1 and up 0 units. Our r is always 1. My cosine of 180 is my x value over my r value. All right, here my x value is -1. My r value is 1, so cosine of 180 is -1. If we keep going, I have tangent of 270. So tangent of 270, that would be the down location. I went out 0, but I went down 1. Once again, my r value is 1 for all of these quadrantals if we're doing it this way. My tangent is my y over my x. So this is my y value over my x value. My y value is -1, my x value is 0. Uh-oh, we're running into an issue here. -1 over 0, that's not possible, so this one is undefined. Cosine of 0, let's go ahead and set that one up. So we draw our axes. 0 degrees is to the right over here. So we went to the to the right 1 unit and up 0 units, and our r value is 1. So our cosine, once again from earlier we said is x over r. Here my x value is 1, my r value is 1, 1 over 1 is 1. Tangent of 360, okay, we draw the axes real quick. 360 is at the same spot as 0. So this is also 1, 0 with an r of 1. Tangent is y over r. So y over r is okay. So that's 0 over 1 in this case. 0 divided by 1 is 0. It's when the 0 is on bottom that is our issue. And then sine of 540. This is where we'll run into a little bit of an issue. Sine of 540, we got to get ourselves back to an angle that we can use. So I'll subtract 360 from 540. So I'll go 540 minus 360 is 180. So this is really the same as the sine of 180. Those are coterminal angles. They're in the same location. So what I'll do is I'll draw my axes. 180 degrees is to the left over here, 180 degrees. That point would be -1, 0. My r value is 1. Sine is y over r. So this is going to be 0 over 1, which is 0. Now, hopefully something you're noticing is that there's really only a couple options here. Sine, cosine, tangent of our quadrantals is 1. It's -1. It's 0. And it's undefined. Those are really only our 4 possible answers in any of these cases. It's 1, -1, 0, and undefined. So as you guys are doing these problems, if you're getting something other than that, you might be making a slight mistake, and it'll be something you want to look into. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Otherwise, I'll see you guys at our next live session. Until then, I hope you have a great day.